Relax and get loose while I put you up on game. The Figure Booth with Josh and Nate. This that podcast for those in the know. Batman vs. Iron Man, how would it go? We talking one of a kind, collectibles. Mezco toys are respectable. It's unacceptable if it's not in the packaging. Nate don't take pics if you ain't rapping it. Nate's dirty tricks are always happening, but damn it, man, don't you be stressing. Round here we believe in plastic confessions. We trying to figure out the figures that's gonna stand the test of time. That G.I. Joe handmade hit me in the spine. There's perfection in the way that these toys are made, but I also wanna know, do I pick Wade or Slade? So this is where I come to kick it with the guys. The Figure Booth. Like, comment, and subscribe.
What is up, Toy Fam? Welcome back to the Figure Booth. New year, same two dudes. I am your host, Josh, aka Prime to the First.
Hey guys, this is Nate, aka FigureFan_Nate, and you've reached episode 39, which we're calling the Resolutions.
Yep.
Season 2, episode 1 of the Figure Booth.
Episode 39.
Episode 39, season 2, I should say. Oops. Some shows keep going on with the episodes. Some shows
we're gonna
repeat.
keep going. We're gonna clean it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it on the fly, and we're gonna do it as best as we can. But it's awesome. We're back again. New year, starting off strong. Hopefully.
Yeah, man. We took a little bit of break there from the end of 2021. Focused on our lives. Enjoyed the holidays. Took some time off ourselves. But yeah, we wanted to come back strong for 2022, and figured let's start with that first week. Let's give them a new episode.
Yeah. And it was good because taking that quick break, it's a good mental restart. It just kind of lets you clear the dust. There's so much crazy stuff that happened throughout the year, and the year it seemed like it was just getting so intense where pre-orders were coming in, holiday season, you got family in and out, you have it's just madness, right? So it can definitely become overwhelming. I think that break was a good break because it just, again, let the dust settle and you kind of get yourself together, you collect yourself, and we come up with some great plan and outline to start the year strong. And the resolutions, we've talked about some of these topics and themes about the goal year collection, going into getting into collecting and just not letting it get out of control, just keeping the eye on the prize, what you want your collection to kind of represent of you. And as you change, I think we go into different lines, or we see ourselves evolving as artists, whether you're a toy photographer or just a collector or a customizer. Your collection changes. You start buying pricier figures. So I think with this New Year's resolution, we can kind of sum it up and start fresh again.
Yeah. No, and you're right, man. Just touching back on something you said, I think it's so important for people to kind of just walk away from the hobby sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And take some time to focus on your family or focus on something that makes you happy or just doing something else for a little bit.
Right.
So we get stuck in this rut of just doing the same things over and over again, buying, posting, talking about it, buying, posting, talking about it. It's like this vicious cycle sometimes, and it creates some of the problems that we experience. So I'm the same way where on the holidays, it's I make a point just to kind of back away a little bit. I might still post and do that thing, but I need to focus on other things for a little while. But yeah, it's a good reset period for me for 2022. It makes you think like we've talked about. I want to stay focused in my collection. I want to collect things that I care about. I don't want to go crazy with spending and all of that stuff. So how do I stay focused? How do I, look at it in the right way so that I'm not, turning a blind eye maybe to something that I probably should be paying attention to, which is spending on figures. I think it's easy for people just to say, I don't want to pay attention to that. That's something I don't want to look at because that might make me sad.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a kind of a red flag to yourself. If you don't want to look at how much you're spending on figures, if you don't want to try to create some kind of budget, it can get out of hand real quick. And, the last thing you want to do is be struggling to make a payment on your house or something, or your rent or whatever the case may be, because you've been going too hard on figures, not budgeting that.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
And I know in one of the episodes we talked about budgeting where We did get a ton of great feedback where some people were like, hey, I looked back at my pre-orders, I canceled a bunch of stuff, or I started creating a budget for myself. And I think that was a good way. That was a good indication, like we're onto something. Let's start the new year with that and come up with some type of toy budget. I know I mentioned it on our first live of the year where I was like, hey, I'm going to create a budget. Feel free to join me in this journey. Do your budget for yourself. And talking with you, I was like, hey, let's figure it out on the episode. So that way, if no one's ever created a budget, it's really easy to kind of think, oh, I'm not going to spend no more than $200. But then when you actually write it down on paper and you take the time to kind of look at what lines am I collecting, and how much do I see myself spending on each line, it really puts it into perspective. But a lot of times, like if we just give one large number, like, oh, I don't want to spend no more than $2,000. Okay, let's break that down. Let's see what it looks like.
See what that really means.
Month for month. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I have my lines that I'm really dedicated to, and that's the other thing. Like there's new lines, there's Kickstarters, there's other lines that I've been tempted to go into, but because I have my current addiction, right, I'm gonna have to either cut some of that stuff off, because as you guys will see, once we get into this budget and we'll start giving dollar amounts to the lines that I want to collect, it's like, okay, I don't make a ton of money. Like I'm not making six figures a month where I can just spend, $1,500 a month on figures. If you can, hey, more power to you. But I want to be like, okay, let's be realistic and give a real goal or a realistic goal, because at the end of the day, there's other things I want to do. Like I still want to maybe buy a new car or buy some new kicks or buy some more hats or travel or whatever. Go visit Nate. Maybe I want to go visit you. Take a Greyhound or hitchhike, whatever gets me there faster.
Yeah, but like that's a great point. Your life shouldn't just be, okay, how much money do I need for the next figure?
Yeah.
It should be like, okay, I want to do figure collecting, but I also want to travel. I also want to visit friends. I want to buy this thing for my house. I want to do stuff outside of just figures, because
I want to go to Decon.
Yeah, I want to go to Decon. I want to go to SCCC. There's so many things that we don't maybe think about, but it's not just figures. I love figures. Prime loves figures. Everybody that's listening probably loves action figures, but it's not the only thing that's going on in my life that I need to worry about.
Yeah.
And if I'm not creating some kind of budget, or at least looking at how much I'm spending, I might not save enough money for the other stuff that's more important, like improving my house or something like that.
Or if my car breaks down.
Yeah.
Or my dog gets sick. Because that's usually, like, I see that where like either your main mode of transportation breaks down, and people create this fire sale and they have to dump a bunch of figures, and that sucks. Or a family member where it's a pet or your kid or whoever, someone that's important to you, it needs medical attention, or they need to, there's some type of bill, right? People dump and that's the first thing to go, the figures. And that sucks, because sometimes it's like, damn, like I know if I was to be in that position, I had to sell my figures, I would do it, whatever. But then at the same time, like, I'm gonna have to go back and pay aftermarket prices, or
you're gonna end up spending more to get that collection back to where it was.
Or you just hate yourself and you're like, fuck, like I got myself.
Or you just get out entirely.
Yeah.
I've seen people do that though, where they have an emergency that comes up, they'll sell everything that they have. They'll get back later, like, man, I'm really trying to find this for a good price. Anybody got a decent deal? And unfortunately nowadays, unless you have a friend, everybody's trying to get the top dollar for their figures. They see a Mayfix Superman's going for $250, they're going to charge probably $180 for it. It's just not realistic to think that you're going to get that collection back at retail price again.
Yeah, unless it's a friend, like you said, it's rare.
Yeah. But I think you touch on something that's so important, and I'm getting a little outside of figures, but Dave Ramsey talks about this a lot. And it's about creating an emergency fund. Have something in savings. Yeah. So that maybe it's 3 months of your income. Yeah. Have that in savings so that if, your AC breaks, or, your car breaks down, or you have an unexpected figure release that comes out. Yeah. You've got an emergency fund to pull from. So it's not an emergency anymore. Things are only emergencies because you don't plan for them properly. Yeah. If you plan for it and you got the money sitting there, it's no longer an emergency. You can just say, AC's broken. Cool. I've got money in my emergency fund. Let's pay it. Let's get it done with. That way it doesn't sit there for 6 months broken. I don't have AC for the house. My kids are suffering. My wife is suffering, whatever, your significant other. Have money set aside, because budgets aren't perfect. You're never going to cover all of it. There's always going to be something that drops. you didn't expect, but if you got some money sitting aside in a savings account that you don't mind touching for stuff like that, it's no longer an emergency.
Yeah.
And you don't feel so guilty about doing it, rather than putting it on maybe credit or something like that, which can become an emergency.
Yeah.
Credit's easy. Credit's like, okay, it's not coming in my account. Boom, boom, boom. Let me just keep charging this, charging it. You got all this interest that you're paying on that. And you could have an 800 credit score, whoever you are.
Yeah.
The interest on credit cards is never going to be better than like, a horrible amount, which is like 10, 12%, maybe, if you're lucky. Get down to 8%, maybe.
Yeah.
It's very rare that you find a credit card that's that low in interest. So if you think about it, if you're maxing out your credit card and you're spending 15% interest, you're spending a shit ton on those figures after you've already bought them.
Yeah.
You're continuing to spend money on that stuff because you've got all this credit sitting there. So you just touch on a really good point.
Especially if you're not paying off the balance. That's the thing.
Yes.
Because there's a way of managing it. There's so many perks, but it's all about a balancing act. Like, and that's where it can get a little tricky because you can be paying off the balance, you can be managing it, but then an emergency comes up. The other day, I got a freaking rock hit my windshield, tiny little crack. The next day, shot all across and I had to get my windshield replaced. But luckily, again, it only had to pay $100, right? So got it replaced, all that bit. I was thinking like a younger Josh would have probably freaked out, would have just paid whatever, had threw it on the credit card, and $500 later, I would have had a new windshield bit, or I could have been driving around for months because I didn't have the money saved up. So a lot of times it's just it's a balancing act and really taking a look at what is your priority at any given time. Because I think as collectors, of course, the priority is to have a good collection and collect what we want to collect. But at the same time, like knowing when to take your foot off the throttle and just coasting it and being okay of not picking up every single thing that drops, even though it's fire. Like right now, I've been seeing a lot of pictures of like the brown suit Wolverine. I've been seeing
from Mafex,
from Mafex, and I'm like, I love the Wolverine I have. The brown one, yes, that's an awesome figure, but I felt like I don't need two Wolverines and two different. Like I'm okay. And at the moment it came up, I was like, I don't need the brown Wolverine. I like that costume, but I have the tiger. That one I relate more to it because of the anime series, and I'm happy with it. Like that's it. Like it's and the minute I made up my mind, I was like, I'm good. So a lot of times it's just like knowing when to take your foot off and being okay and not giving into that FOMO. That's the hard part because then if you don't know when to take your foot off the pedal and you try not to stick with your budget, that's when things get out of control, and then you're just buying everything, just trying to catch up. And then you don't, I don't know, I personally feel like I don't really find value in what I'm collecting because then they're just sitting there, and I'm not cracking them open. I just bought them just because they were impulse buy. And the pleasure's there at that moment. But later, I'm probably like I need something else now. I need something to fill that void. And if it's an impulse buy and you think, how am I going to feel about this later? There's a couple figures that have been sitting in my cart at GameStop from the GameStop site, and I go back in there and they're all sold out, and I'm like, I don't care. And I'm like, obviously I didn't care then because I didn't pull the trigger, and I don't care now. I'm like, so whatever, like, and that could be just the evolution that I'm going in my collecting phase where I'm like, I'm not so heavy on like I need to have all this or I need to army build, 10 of these one figure. So we go through phases. We all go through phases.
That's so important, man. Is like, and I we talk about this a few times, and I think it still rings true. Is just like pay attention to FOMO. Pay attention to that fear of missing out. Like, do I want this? Because Instagram in itself, the toy community in itself, is all about popular opinion.
Right.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
You get toy reviewers like Wade, Unparalleled Universe, or The Amazing, or Fwoosh, or X Manny, whoever the case may be, Just Jay.
Yeah.
And they're all saying the same thing, like this figure is fire, this figure is fire, it's awesome. I might not have had any interest before, but because all of these influencers in the toy community, because people that I talk to, because things that I see in my story, I'm like, now I'm going to pick that up. But I had no interest in it prior. And like you said.
And sometimes that's okay. Like, and that's going back to that emergency fund. Like you have to leave room in your budget for those impulse buys, because Sentinel Miles Morales was an impulse buy, but that's only because I saw The Amazing's review. I saw Jay's review. I saw Mario was telling me about everyone. I'm like, dude, you have to get it. And I was like, fuck, everyone is telling me I have to get it. I'm like, I'm going to get it. And again, like I'm like, all right, let me cancel this pre-order, let me cancel this, let me kind of adjust the funds so I can not justify it, but so it won't hit me as hard. And then I'll be like, oh, I have to like put it on a credit card or whatever, right? Got the miles, and I was like, that was an awesome buy. There's been other times where I've done impulse buys because I was following the trend. Everyone was all about the Gucci Gang before the Gucci Gang became popular. I picked up Wolverine, Magneto, fucking worst ones. I hate those figures.
You hated
like,
those.
I want to sell them so bad. I'm ready to like just give them away. I'm like, God damn. Even though I did take a cool pick with the Wolverine, but like Carnage, I love the Carnage. I love the Ultron. I loved Iron Man and War Machine, which I sold to you, but Magneto and Wolverine, I'm like, fuck, I fucking hate you guys. You guys killed it for me. Yeah, I fucking hate them. Like, and that's it.
And sometimes all it takes is one.
Those two took me out of the game.
Yeah,
Iron Man and War Machine pulled me back in, but I never did anything with them. They literally sat in the boxes because I was so pissed at Yamaguchi. I'm like, look, these figures are that Iron Man. I fucking love that Iron Man and that War Machine. But I was like, I know someone else is gonna appreciate them much more. So and then I took a loss. So I'm like, fucking whatever. Like,
well, I get it though, because you can't get blind with a figure line either. You know, like I got really heavy into Gucci's, and then I kind of took a pause. I'm like, okay, hold on a second here. I'm getting all these Gucci's just because I love the line, but how many of these am I actually playing with? You know, how many do I frequently go back to and mess with again?
Yeah,
you know, do I really need to pick up all of these just because I'm a huge fan of the line, or can I wait a little bit and maybe just get one that I'm super interested in later on down the line? But yeah, I feel you, man. I've done the same thing, and I'm not saying impulse buy is a bad thing, because like you talked about with Sentinel and Miles Morales, it can turn out to be a really good thing.
Yeah.
That Joaquin Phoenix Joker that I got was kind of an impulse buy.
That's
you know, but I ended up really liking it.
And then you freaking got me to go.
I enabled. I wish I got some points, some points.
Points. Yeah.
But yeah, no points for that. But yeah, it's stuff like that, like Legions, for instance.
Yeah.
I had no interest in picking those up. I thought they were great figures. My friend Cody enabled me, so I'm like, oh, screw it. Now I'll just pick up some that are interesting me. But that Poxus wave is up, and I'm like, you know, I'm not going to go all in on it. No way, because I know that there's figures in that line that I do not want.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that the Legions usually are more expensive later on, that, you know, has some kind of influence. Like maybe I should just pick up the whole wave, because then I can, you know, resell some. But that shouldn't be the reason why I'm doing it.
No,
that shouldn't be the reason why I'm picking up figures so I can sell them later. Like that's a dumb idea.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to really think about like, what is it that is inspiring me for a shot? Do I have anything in my head for this figure, or is it just something that I know is going to be popular when it comes out? You know.
Right.
But yeah, it's a really good point. Is just having something in reserve for figures, and you know that it's part of your budget, so that when to Prime's point, you have a random release that you weren't planning on, you decide that you want to pick it up, you've got some extra money sitting there, you budgeted for it, it's no problem, it's not an emergency anymore, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I think people, you know, maybe just don't even know how to start a budget.
Yeah.
You know, if you've never budgeted before, you might be a little bit lost.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? You know, first thing I would do is just look at your monthly income. How much do I get in a month?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe just look at it for yourself. Like a lot of people are married, they might have a partner, whatever the case may be. But look at your own money. Don't look at your partner's money, because they're not going to be spending money on your figures.
Yeah.
It should be stuff that you're spending on yourself. And then start thinking about, okay, how much am I spending on my finances? Like my mortgage or my rent.
Yeah.
How much do I spend
Food,
on my
gas.
car payment, insurance, gas, food? Take all of that out, what you make for the month.
Cell phone.
Utilities, all of that stuff. Anything that you know is a monthly reoccurring charge. Maybe it's your credit card payment.
Yeah.
Because you don't pay it off every month.
Yeah.
Put that in there. Take all that out. And then what you have left after all the bills are paid is your, you know, quote unquote expendable income. Yeah. Stuff that you can use for other things. And with that, you start thinking about, okay, out of this extra, I shouldn't put all of this into figures.
Yeah.
I should maybe set aside a little bit for savings.
Yeah.
So I can build up that emergency fund that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And then out of that, whatever is left, that's what I can put on figures, because I feel comfortable. I've paid all my bills. Everything's paid for. I'm not struggling.
Yeah.
I've got this extra at the end of the month. I know I have this extra because I've already worked it out ahead of time.
Yeah.
so that when the end of the month comes, it's not like, ooh, I spent too much on figures. Now I don't have to pay my mortgage. That type of thing.
Yeah. And then there's other stuff too, like not only like what you want to go into your savings, but like boys' night, girls' night, like kids' night,
vacations,
date night, like movie night, like whatever night. Okay, the fun, the entertainment category, the just going out to get something to eat, freaking buying clothes for yourself or buying clothes for your pet, buying clothes for your kids, like all that stuff. Like a lot of times I've gone and just to go pick up waffles and it's like, oh, we need waffles, we need milk, we need detergent. And the next thing you know, it's like $80-$90, it's $100. And I'm like, damn, I was
only going to get something for waffles. I was just here for Bisquick, man.
I wasn't planning on spending $100, but that's what happened. So it's like, how do we do that? So we did want to create and walk you guys through an example of a budget, some of the lines I'm collecting. And then again, feel free to take this journey with us. And we'll appreciate all the feedback. We're going to share a whiteboard with you guys, and we'll do some of the lines that I'm going to think about sticking to, and then we'll assign them a dollar amount, and then we'll see what does that come out to at the end of the month. And then we'll take it from there. We'll have some talking points.
I'm going to clear some of these because we kind of pre-filled it, but I'm going to clear some of these out.
Okay.
Just so people can kind of go with us here.
Yeah. And by any means, at this time, feel free, grab a notepad, grab a pen, write down some of the lines you are looking to collect this year. What are you excited about? What lines are you still sticking with? Are you an intense Marvel legend? So for me, these are some of the lines that I'm going to be sticking with throughout the year. So we're talking about Mezco. I'm going to still be collecting Mezco. I want to still stick with Storm. I love what Storm's doing, and especially what they've been previewing. Marvel Legends, that's the bread and butter of my collection. I don't think I'm ever going to stray away from Marvel Legends. Super 7 has literally gotten their claws on me and like slowly pulling me in. And I got my Thunder Tag. They're doing a lot of licenses I love. So
they have you for Thundercats for sure, and you've got some TMNT on pre-order.
I got TMNT, and I got the whole Silverhawks on pre-order too. So fuck yeah. And then GI Joes, of course, because I'm so pumped for GI Joes. Third party has been really catching my eye more and more. Joy Toy is something new that I added this year. Again, credit to Mario for enabling me into getting to a different scale, which I'm really having a lot of fun with. And then lastly, Neca. I love what Neca's been doing. And that's almost a line that I can enjoy with my wife because she's a huge horror fan. So sometimes I pick up stuff for her, and that sucks because sometimes I have to pick up doubles because it's one for her, one for me, So we're going to go through these lines right down. And this is like we're looking at Mezco 1, Storm 2, Legends 3, Super 7 4, G.I. Joe 5, Third Party 6, Joy Toy 7, Neca 8. That's 8 lines. 8 brands that I'm sticking to for the year.
It's a great start to the budget, by the way.
Yeah.
First thing, before you even start talking about money, figure out what it is that you want to focus on. And to Prime's point, he's figuring out stuff that he's looked at, that he knows pre-orders are coming for, that he's interested in. Maybe he's looking at his collection that he currently has.
Right.
What does he want to expand on? What kind of lines does he appreciate? What is he having the most fun with?
Right.
Not what's most popular.
Yeah.
But what does personally attract him?
Yeah.
For the figures that are coming out. So that's step one.
Oh yeah.
Figure out what lines you want.
There's a lot of other stuff that I really, really like Transformers, Star Wars. There is like Hot Toys have been teasing me. Mythic Legions. There's so much like Plunderling, and I'm like I can't, or else the list is gonna go on. So I had to cut it off, and really like. It was tough. Once I got to 5, I was like, fuck. And then third party, because I've been really, I had to keep going. I was like, damn, I looked at my collection, see what was going on. But we'll start with Mezco first. And again, we're talking a monthly budget. So let's say with Mezco, we'll give them a budget of $150 because on an average, a drop is about around there. And if it's less, then I may pick up 2. But we'll stick with $150 for Mezco.
Okay.
For Storm, we'll do $120 because...
Storm figures usually about $80 to $100. That makes sense. Okay.
Tax, shipping,
so if you're
all
picking
that
up like one a month, maybe.
Yeah, and if let's say I get skeletons, $60, I'll pick up 2.
There you go. That's 120 right there.
With Legends, I'm much more pickier this last year, and I think I'm going to continue to be pickier even going forward this year. So we'll give them a budget of like $80. So that's either I'll pick up a handful. I haven't been picking up any waves. I haven't picked up any waves lately, but I do have a full wave on pre-order, which is the
Spidey wave.
The Spidey
wave.
I knew it.
All
so that's $100, right? So $80 for Legends. And I'm already going against that. Super 7, we'll say $100 because normally their figures are about 55 or so. So I sometimes pick up 1, sometimes pick up 2. GI Joes, for GI Joes, I'll give them a budget of, I'll say 80 as well, because army builders, sometimes I'll pick up more than, I'll definitely be picking up more than one, or a vehicle, one of their deluxe figures. Third party, I'll give third party $100 because they range anywhere from 50 to like $80. Joy Toy, we'll say Joy Toy is $100. Usually their mechas are around like 180 or 90. NECA will go around $80. So that's if I'm getting 2 of them or deluxe.
Okay.
So yeah,
starts
and
to
this again, this is monthly, right? This is like, let's say I'm picking Mezco does a drop, Storm does a drop, I do a pre-order. This, and I think this is, let's include pre-orders at the same time. So if Mezco does a Rumble Society pre-order, I'm gonna have to pick that up for that month. For this particular, let's say it's this month, I'll have to include that in the budget. So this is 1 month of like Mezco does a drop, Storm does, and we know Mezco and Storm don't always do drops. But let's like to start out, I think to give us a realistic budget, let's say all these lines do a drop all in 1 month, and sometimes that's possible. There could be a third party, right?
I mean, with all the lines that we have listed here, you see at least one, maybe 2 releases a month, and every single line that I see here. I don't think there's any lines here that I don't see releases from consistently. So I think
sometimes more, like Legends sometimes drops like 2 waves in 1 month, or G.I. Joe's and Legends, and Joy Toy's been pumping out a lot of stuff too. So
you can have different mixtures, like say Mezco goes heavy 1 month, in like December, where you got 1, 2, 3, 4. All the other budget that you have for other stuff goes into Mezco.
And that was the thing. Mezco messed me up in December because they did 3 drops and they delivered all 3. You know, it was insane. So let's add these up.
Advent calendar.
Yep. And yeah. And that was easy. That 150 went out the window.
Yeah, that's gone fast. That's with the Advent calendar alone. So let's add this up. So we got 150, 120, 80, 100, 80, 100, 100, 80. Oh,
$810 a month.
$810.
That's way too much.
Month.
If you're telling me, hey, Josh, you spent $810 a month, I'm like, whoa, Bob, that's too much, Bob. That's too much. When I'm thinking about budget, I'm like, I don't want to spend no more than $200, $300 on figures. And we're talking just action figures, $200 to $300 a month. Let's say it's $200 a month times 12. That's $2,400 on action figures. Now we're $810. That's 10 G's? 10 G's in a year?
You're at $10,000 in action figures for the year at $810 a month.
That's insane. That's way too
crazy.
Much. That's way too much.
When you're listing off these prices originally, I'm like, okay, those are realistic prices. That's what that stuff really costs. Now, do you pick up this stuff monthly? Maybe not.
Right, maybe not.
You talked about. Mezco releases, depending on the month, depending on the time of year. You might see one Mezco get released 1 month, and then 2 months later you get another one that's released. If it's Keaton Batman, it's not for 2 years, maybe 3 years at this point. Who knows?
Yeah. And Storm doesn't drop every month either. Storm drops like they'll tease a lot, and then they'll drop a figure or 2, and then that's it. They'll go away for like the rest of the year. So
so I think it's good to start this way, because you're like, okay, what does it normally cost me for this stuff?
Right.
Maybe that's a good start for a monthly. But we see here $810. That's not sustainable unless you're, big buku bucks guy making really good money every month.
Yeah.
Enough to pay this plus all the other bills that you have to pay.
Yeah.
So maybe the best way to start is from like an annual perspective.
Okay.
How much do you want to spend for the year? And somebody might say, I want to spend $2,000 for the year.
Okay.
On figures.
Yeah.
Break that out by 12. It's only $160 a month.
Okay. That's a little bit more
$170 a month.
All right.
Yeah, but if that's the case, you're only getting a Mezco every month.
Yeah.
Your Storms, your Legends, your Super 7, your G.I. Joes, all of this goes out the window.
That's it. Yeah.
So is 2,000 really realistic? And people are thinking, these numbers, they're probably hearing these numbers like, geez, 2,000, that's more than enough for the year.
That is.
But have you looked at how much that you guys are actually spending? I've looked at it. I know Prime probably has.
Yeah.
It's more than 2,000 for the year. And that's a little scary.
Yeah.
When you think about it. But if you're not setting these goals for yourself and saying, this is how much I want to spend this month or this year, then you could easily get to that 10K number that we just put up on the screen. If that's what you're using as your baseline, it's like, I want to spend $150 a month on Mezco. I want to spend $120 a month on Storm, $80 a month on Legends. You guys see it here. If I use this as my baseline, I'm getting up to 10K in the year. And that doesn't even account for unexpected releases that I wasn't planning on.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing. Like now you're not even considering third-party figures. I'm leaving $100 there for where they're catching my eye. But then there's other stuff. There's customs. There's customizers that do drops, custom head sculpts, soft goods, capes, all that stuff. That's not even included in there. Sometimes, I mean, you get a cape, let's say it's $40, but let's say you want to get like 3 or 4 capes. That's $120 right there. You want to get a couple of head sculpts. I know I picked up some head sculpts last year, and sometimes I was like dropping $100. Sometimes I was dropping like $200. So I wanted to get multiple head sculpts. I was into it, So that's like another category, like just customs, custom work, custom paint job, it's crazy, dios, lights, all that good stuff.
Right.
Props for your photography.
Yeah, props. I mean, which I spend quite a bit of money on every year.
Yeah.
Just like stuff that I want for photography. But yeah, I mean, it adds up so quick, and you don't realize it until you start seeing it on paper. Maybe it's like, do I really need all this? Do I want all this every single month? Is this really giving me happiness, or is this something I'm just trying to sustain because it's something I've been doing it for so long, I don't know any different?
Yeah.
Type of
so
thing.
Like looking at this, like going through this and looking at my budget this year, I'm okay with Mezco. What am I really going to stick to? Am I going to stick to their Rumble Society release only, or am I going to be passing on all these Mexico exclusives and just get whatever's available to the general public, which a lot of times that's like comic related, that's like move, it's stuff I can just pre-order and just wait until it charges. That's the challenging part. Do the pre-orders, should the pre-orders be taken into consideration on the budget? Part of me says yes.
I think
part of me says no, because it depends on the release date. Like, especially with a company like Mezco, right? If you take it into consideration, like, let's say Batman, I had put it on a credit card and I only paid the deposit, right? I haven't been charged on it yet. That money still hasn't came out. It's going to. I should take it into consideration, but at this point, it's been like, what, 2+ years? And I'm like, the budget's been rolling over on that. So sometimes it's tough, especially with lines where they keep getting these delays, and that does throw off your budget, because then you forget about it. Like, I completely forgot about that 2-pack Mayfix Dark Knight, and then I got hit with the, hey, we need your payment right now. And I was like, end of the year, I wasn't expecting to spend $150 on this fucking set. I was like, god damn, like that threw off my whole
during
budget.
Christmas.
Yeah,
it's rough.
So it's things like that where it's like you want to leverage it out and like keep an inventory of your pre-orders and kind of like a timeline. Like, okay, I need funds for this, so I should always have funds available for that. Looking at that $810, I'm like, okay, I'm really gonna have to chill out on Mezco. Storm Collectibles, I'll stick to just being alert of what I really, really want, and really being aware of how much I'm spending on them. I haven't gone crazy. I think when I went to Decon, I picked up a bunch of Storm Collectibles, but I got really good deals on them, and I probably spent around $160 on 3 Storm Collectibles, but they were something that I originally wanted, and I always knew if I get a good deal, I'm going to pick them up.
I think that's okay if it's something that you were already planning on buying. And like we talked about, like a budget, you could have a monthly budget, but let's say for 3 months you don't buy a Storm figure.
Yeah.
Now everything you're budgeting for 3 months, you've saved up for that 3 months. You're like, okay, I can buy 3 or 4 Storm figures because I haven't bought one in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
So, you can kind of combine stuff and budget it that way, or maybe a different way of doing it is like, I want to collect 20 figures this year.
Right. Yeah.
And then kind of start knocking that off as you're going, like, okay, I got 1, 2, 3, as the year's going on. Okay, I'm up to 10 already and we're in May. Mm-hmm. Can I really make another 10 last me for the rest of the year? Is that realistic? You know?
And sometimes I think, okay, I collect or I buy figures that are way above the $30 threshold. like Sentinel, Mayfex, Mezco, Storm Collectibles. They're like in the $80, $100. If I was to stop buying these like give myself a dollar amount, like I'm not gonna spend no more than $50 on a figure, then I would be left with like Marvel Legends and GI Joes and like Fortnite, all what you can find at Target and Walmart and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that concerns me is like then I would go hard on them, and I would be like I sometimes may pick up entire waves and just spend because I know they're cheaper, so I'm gonna buy the whole stinking wave, even though I don't appreciate all the figures. Maybe I just wanted one figure or just the bath. And at times when I was collecting Legends at my like most intense moment, I was buying wave after waves just for the bath or just for 2 figures, and then I end up with all these other figures that I'm like could really care less for. Once I started buying more premium figures, I was like, even though it was more expensive, and it was funny because when I was collecting Legends, I'm like, I'm never gonna pay $100 for a figure, never. But then I got my first import, I got my first Mezco, and I was like, damn, it's really like, it's not only the quality and all that, like all that. No, it's like it gives you a feeling where you're like, okay, I'm super satisfied with this. Like a Legend gives me that same satisfaction sometimes, but the Mezco, it's like it's on a different level where it's an import figure or it's just the dollar. Like I don't know, the dollar amount is not really the thing that does it for me. It's just that the quality it seems a little bit better at times.
Yeah, when you get a figure in hand, you're like, man, this thing is awesome.
Yeah,
I enjoy this.
Yeah,
the quality is great. It feels like I got my money's worth.
And it feels unique. That's the thing too.
Like, it feels unique.
Whether it's Yamaguchi or Mezco, Mayfex, you're like, it's not. You can't just walk into a Target and Walmart and pick it up. Like you have to either go through an online store or you have to wait a good minute. I think that's what it was for me. Where I was like, not everyone is gonna have this. Where everyone can have a Marvel Legends Spider-Man. I mean, now relatively everybody has it, but a lot of times people would come in. Some of my friends were like, "Oh, dude, where'd you get that at?" They've never seen a figure like that.
Yeah. And that's a good point too. Like look at what are figures that you pick up but then don't immediately open.
Yeah.
How much stuff just sits. And maybe that's the line I should focus on cutting back a bit.
You know what's the crazy part? A lot of the stuff that sits there is Marvel Legends.
Dude, you're like, that's on my budget for next year.
And that's on my budget, but I've cut it down so much. If you're just, I have so much Marvel Legends has been my bread and butter. I love Marvel Legends. I have a ton of them. But honestly, like I buy them and they just sit there. The whole Fantastic Four wave just sat there. I've only opened one.
Which one did you open? Who made
Human
the cut?
Torch? Human Torch.
Human Torch.
That's it.
Okay.
The thing didn't make the cut because I liked them in his package. I wanted up there.
Yeah.
But Psycho Man, High Evolutionary, Mr. Fantastic, none of them have been opened. I have Sue Storm and the other Johnny Storm, but those were intended to stay on mock. But
those are the Pulse exclusives, right?
Yeah, those are the Pulse exclusive. And I'm like, they've stayed. The 3-pack was I intended to open them. I haven't opened them. The Richter, Domino, and Cannonball haven't opened them. And I'm like, I got them. Like, yes, okay, just throw them in the pile. Like to me, I'm like, I need to change it up. I want to have a figure that I open it up and like I never stop messing with it. That's kind of where I'm at right now, where I'm like, I just need to really take a look at what do I want to collect that really gives me the most satisfaction and really push the envelope this year. Like part of the resolution is, okay, what else do I want out of myself and out of my collection? Right. There's other things on there. That budget, I'm gonna take a look at it, sit down, and really be like, okay, how much do I really want to spend and stick to that? I think honestly, I'm probably only gonna be spending like less than $200. I really want to like cut down because I have so freaking much that I want to appreciate these figures. And sometimes it feels like if I take a step back and a break from buying all the new stuff that's coming out, I can really appreciate and challenge my creativity to take some new pictures or take some pictures of what I currently have. And I think that's where you find a lot of times a lot of the appreciation.
I think that's a totally acceptable resolution, is appreciating what I have and slowing down on collecting. It's one of those things like, is it truly possible to be happy with just keeping what I have and not buying new toys? Is that really possible? Because I feel like a lot of us acquire,
right?
Open it up, look at it, take a picture, move on. Open it up, look at it, take a picture, move on. Or whatever. In your case, open it up, put it in display, move on to the next one.
Yeah.
But then I look back and I'm like, man, I got all these amazing figures.
Right.
And some of them don't ever see the light of day on my page.
Yeah.
I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe I can't remember how long ago, but I made a point on my toy photography. Let me photograph a figure that I have not photographed in at least 6 months.
Yeah.
Because that makes me dig back into that collection. I'm like, damn, I forgot I even had this. And this is a sweet figure.
Yeah.
And it's, highly sought after, whatever the case would be. Like, I don't have to keep getting new stuff.
No.
It's a consumerism culture.
That's hard to really digest and process where you're like,
It's really hard.
Because you're going to be like, oh, I have old stuff. My stuff's not cool. If your stuff is good for you and you're happy with it, like
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. And that's really hard to kind of just sit there and be like,
it is.
Hey, did you get that new Spider-Man? No, I didn't. Like right now, like all the new G.I. Joe stuff, like the BAT, I haven't pre-ordered any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The Tiger Viper, I haven't pre-ordered any of that stuff. And I'm like, I'm okay. Like I want to, part of me does, but it's that impulse one. It's the impulse prime where he wants to just army build a bunch of BATs and have 10 of them. And I'm like, but what am I going to do with 10 of them? Like I have close to 25 Hydra soldiers. I haven't taken any pictures. Like, what am I doing? Like, I just need to just sit back. Like, and that's what I'm talking about. Take the foot off the throttle, look at what you have, and then make something out what you currently have. Because the other thing is like, if you're not finding satisfaction or joy with what you currently have, then maybe it's time to sell it.
Yep.
Right? Sell it and then make room and inventory and space for new stuff. Then you can really go hard on something new, go hard on a new line, or go hard on a new challenge.
Yeah, that's the thing I was going to say too. Like if you get worried about that budget and maybe going over it, go back into your collection. What is it stuff that I'm not using? If I haven't seen it in 6 months, you should maybe be on the chopping block. You know, like, okay, I'm getting rid of you.
Shit, I'm going to get rid of everything.
You've been in a box. I haven't even opened you. And it's been more than 6 months since I've had you. Like, I got to go. You got to go.
Man, like V-Toys Robin. I wanted that guy so bad. I only opened him up, played with him a couple nights, and he's been in the box ever since. But I freaking love that figure. But I'm like, damn, I need to make time. I need to make time to appreciate all these figures.
If you don't, that's okay. You know, if you don't,
I picture them, you know, in that scene from Toy Story. They're all sitting inside the box, and they're like, he doesn't want to play with us. That's my picture.
Yeah, nobody wants, poor Woody. He ends up just sitting in the closet for his whole life, and he decides, like, I'm moving on, man. I'm going. I don't need this kid anymore. Yeah.
No, don't.
But it's true though. With your own figures, you know, don't just hold on to it because you know it's valuable or whatever. That it's highly sought after. If you don't have personal enjoyment from it, you should really just let it go and get the money from it. Put that into your budget.
Yeah.
So you're not going into your bank account.
Yeah.
And use that to give you something that actually does give you joy. That's not sitting in a box for 6 months.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, hopefully that stuff helps you guys. I know we've talked about this before, but just try to make some resolutions for yourself. And I know it's hard to do. I know everybody doesn't like looking at this stuff. It's something that you just try to keep a blind eye to. Like, I don't even want to look at that number. But if you don't look at it, I guarantee it's going to creep up on you. And, you know, it's something that you should really be probably talking about with your significant other and just saying like, hey, what do we want to do this year? You know, what do we want to spend our money on? Because I know, you know, my wife's very flexible with me, but if I have a budget of $810 a month on figures, she might freak out a little bit. You know, she might be like,
my wife is a major enabler. She was like, you should get 3 Sentinels. And I was like, what? Like, she's like, you only got 1? She's like, come on, level up. You need to. She's like, you got Galactus, right? I'm like, I was like, what? Yes, I got Galactus. Okay, good. You need to get Galactus.
Lady Prime is a bad influence.
She is. Yeah, Lady Prime's all over. She got me the Thunder Tank. I'm like, hey, you know they're doing the Turbo Band. She's like, you're getting the Thunder Tank. Like, that's it. Don't push her. Don't push her. So, yeah,
that's cool.
She's got more. And the thing is, she's got probably more points than I do. Like, that's the thing that sucks. Like, she doesn't even know about the game, and she has more points than I do.
She got all the points. And that's another good thing though. Like, if it's say if you have Galactus coming, you can work that into your budget, even if it's something that drops mid-year. You can have, I'm not going to buy figures for the next 3 months, so that when
6 months,
when Galactus funds. That's my budget. I paid for Galactus. Boom, he's paid off. I don't have to worry about it. That kind of stuff.
I'm going to stick with my Toy Biz Fantastic Four now.
Any other do I really need the Mezco Fantastic Four, or can I just stick with the Legends Fantastic Four?
I got both.
Really need the Mezco. You know? Because that's you're talking about $450 just right there in one set.
You're messing up my budget. I got them all pre-ordered. Any other resolutions that you had for yourself for this year?
I think that's a big one, man. You hit the nail on the head. Just try to create a monthly spending goal or how many figures that I want per month. Work that out annually. Looking at my collection. I've got a pile of stuff that I'm going to be selling maybe in like March. I'm waiting because everybody's dried out from the holidays. Nobody's got money right now.
Yeah, wait till tax time.
Yeah, tax season is the time to sell. If anybody's listening, if you want top dollar for your figures, wait until tax season.
Yeah,
that's when people got disposable income they didn't have in their account before.
They're ready.
Good old Uncle Sam. Yeah, just like okay, I will buy that. I don't care.
So I have 2 other resolutions that I added on my list, because I've been getting shit from other people, especially Gonzo. He was like, dude, you need to take more pictures. So I'm like, you know what? This year, I'm going to set myself up for some type of toy photography challenge where it's getting myself back into that booth, back behind the lens, and really challenge my creativity. So toy photo challenge. I don't know if it's going to be a monthly, and maybe we'll include you guys in the audience. You know, give us ideas. There's a lot of things that I have planned to not only bring onto this show and get you guys involved, but we can all participate and really make it inclusive. The other thing is like a custom challenge, either making a custom dial, making a custom arcade, like something really where it's pushing the envelope. And then, I don't know, ultimately I'll either give it away or we'll raffle it or we'll do a contest, but really involving the audience. I think the last one was just, we mentioned it in our last live, was a comic book club, you know, and really, I think going further than just action figures, but getting everybody to like, hey, a lot of times, a lot of great ideas for me came from when I was reading comic books. Yeah. So if you didn't watch our most recent live, we introduced the comic book club, and we're going to be reading Hawkeye, My Life as a Weapon, Volume 1, and then we'll go on to Volume 2, and then we'll check in like every 2 weeks or so, and just kind of seeing like, hey, we've read these volumes. What are you guys' thoughts? A lot of it will either going to be like on a poll on our IG page, or we'll bring it up on our live just as a reminder. We don't want to make it like a big pressure thing, but we do want to throw it out there and get everybody involved. Reading the same book, I think a lot of us, if we're all reading the same thing, we can share those ideas and have a great conversation about that. So those are some of the things.
Give you guys some time to like go out there, get the book, read it. You know, it's not like next week we're going to be talking about it. You know, we'll probably give it a few weeks and then bring it up.
I want an essay. I want a book report from everybody.
I need at least 100 words on your impressions of the
double spaced on Monday on my desk. Thanks.
Yeah, I just need it by Monday, end of day, in my DM box.
I'm taking that red stapler away.
But we can actually work that into the toy photography challenge too. I'm thinking, we read a comic.
Oh,
read Volume 1 and like, okay, get a toy photography idea from that comic.
That's
something
good.
That inspired you from that comic. That's a cool idea.
Oh, dude, I love that.
And people, you don't have to go buy. You know, I talked about this in the live. You don't have to go buy comics if you don't have the extra funds for it. Go check your local library. You'd be surprised how much your library actually has in their graphic novels section. I went to mine this last weekend. It was full. It was at least, I don't know. They had a ton of stuff. Like just hundreds of books. I picked up the Batman Adventures Continue comics, something I've been wanting to read forever.
Wow.
It was there.
That's
cost
awesome.
me no money.
Yeah, I'm going to go check them out.
Yeah, it's great. You might find the Hawkeye book there too.
Oh, hey, that'd be good.
So yeah, that's a good resolution, man. I like those.
Yeah.
It's a good way to start 2022.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps you guys. If you have questions, you know, feel free to reach out to me and Prime. We're happy to help. But we recommend just take a dry run. Just do it yourself. You don't have to be super serious about it. Just see what do you think that you're spending? Maybe look at your past history. How much did you spend last year?
Yeah.
How much do you think you can spend this year? How much are you trying to spend this year? At least just set some kind of goal. We don't want people that are listening, our friends, a lot of these people are our friends, to be in some kind of financial trouble because they didn't budget their figure collecting correctly.
Yeah.
We'll go into other topics. First one being pre-orders. I know there's been a lot of stuff since the last time we talked. We covered some of this on the live. What did you think about that new Mezco alien variant xenomorph thing? Like,
because NECA's been killing it so good, I'm like, I don't need to spend 3 times or twice the amount for a neck. Like, I have a neck from the video game that, you know, and I mean, to me, this does it. Like, I don't need a Mezco one. Like, this was what, under $30. And I'm like, I'm good with this. Like,
I totally agree. NECA's been killing the game. There's no reason for me to go out and buy a Mezco, which is going to be smaller than that NECA that Prime is holding. I don't really want it. Like, you know, I get people do, and there's probably people that jumped on it.
Yeah.
The new one was the Xenomorph concept, which is like a lighter skin tone, kind of more see-through. It's on waitlist on Mezco now, but it's actually up on BBTS. So following the quote unquote exclusive release of Mezco, I don't think they're really exclusives anymore because now BBTS gets the extra stock. So if you guys missed out, it's up there. There was also, when we were out, the Silent Hill 2 Red Pyramid thing, which comes with some really cool blood effects. Comes with the mannequin body, some spider creatures. I kind of want it just for the accessories, but then I'm also like back to the budget collecting or budget discussion. I'm like, do I really need pyramid thing? No. Yeah. I've got Storm figures that have plenty of blood effects.
Yeah.
I don't need all these from Mezco. I really don't need it. So I passed on that one.
Yeah. Same here. I passed.
Yeah. It's cool. I get people who love Silent Hill. I know there's a huge fan base for it. There's probably somebody that's listening to like, fuck you guys. I picked that up. That thing's awesome. More power to you, man. It's just not for me. That's it. Yeah. What else? Other pre-orders. The Neca Mausers and Ultimate Foot Soldier. I think those actually closed today. So maybe this is late news. But I don't think those are going to get released in stores. At least from what Neca has talked about. They don't have any store releases planned. At least for the Mausers. I think the Ultimate Foot Soldier did get released at one point. Hopefully you got your pre-order in. Last but not least, if you're into Mythic Legions, the Poxus Wave closes today, the day you guys are listening to this, on Sunday. I think it closes end of day on Sunday. So if you didn't get an order in and you're into Mythic Legions, that's your last chance. Maybe you'll get it in an in-stock sale later on.
Out of the budget, can't do it.
Yeah, it's not in your budget.
I was on the fence, but I was like,
don't pay attention to it. Yeah,
messing up my budget.
If you're not into Legions already, I don't think this is going to really set you over the edge. I got one as a gift, and that's what's kind of done it to me. But outside of that, I probably wouldn't have maybe bought one myself, except for maybe Krampus.
Yeah.
Any other pre-orders you want to talk about?
I've been so out of it lately. I need to catch up on.
Yeah, that's the thing. I had to do some research before we got on. I'm like, okay, what pre-orders actually happened last week? So I've sort of been out of touch.
Yeah, and there's a couple of like third-party stuff that's already hitting hard. 5K Toys has a couple pre-orders already listed. It's a great start to the new year. There's so much stuff coming in. Hopefully, this is the new tempo for 2022. It's just we're getting a lot of good stuff, and that's what I love. There's so much good stuff that it's good to keep an eye on your budget because there is so much good stuff. Like independent artists, there's third party, there's always stuff coming out. So keep an eye on everything.
Yeah, watch your budget. Watch how much you spend.
Yeah,
Plastic Confessions going into spending. I'll start, and if you were part of the live, you probably saw some of this. But huge shout out to my friend Sir Chappie 13. He sent me Arethyr from Mythic Legions, who is just a total
so jealous. That's awesome.
So badass. He just screams metal on my shelf.
I'm packing my sleeping bag, going over there tonight.
There you go. Hey, you come over here. I'll let you play with Arethyr as much as you want. During the break, I actually got Balius, who is the horse from Legions. He's amazing. Awesome. Tons of articulation all over the place. Really impressed. I'm going to be doing like a Batman shot with this. Some other stuff. What else did I get? I got the McFarlane Swamp Thing, which I don't actually have out.
Okay.
But I was a little iffy on that until I saw the Amazing review.
Yeah.
And then, that's kind of the figure stuff that I've... Oh, and obviously, I got Krampus, too. Krampus came.
Oh, yeah. Krampus. So such a good figure.
Another Legions.
That was so good.
He's really cool. So, that's mine.
Nice. Mine's really short because I ended up getting, finally, the 2-pack Snake and...
Nice.
Stanley? No.
Stanley R?
Stanley R? What?
Stanley R.
Stanley. Timber.
Rottweiler.
So Timber and Snake Eyes finally, man, and like that. He's so articulated. Like it's awesome. It's freaking awesome. I couldn't wait to open them up. I ended up getting another Joy toy, so It's my second mecha. It's still in the same steel bone. So
I'm excited. The new pre-orders they put up. It's like
so some of their new pre-orders from Joy Toy. It's like the figure. They come with like these bug-like.
Like,
I'm all into those. Like. That's the thing. I'm going to pre-order. I think there's 2 of them. There's like one's a female, one's a male. Mm-hmm. They look like they're riding dragonflies or bees or something like these giant bees. They look freaking cool. They've also introduced like a new line of like these armored I don't know, like Spartans, and they come in 4 different colors. And I think we covered them once in a live. It was like green, white, and red. And so all the 4 colors, they're available on BBTS. I think I'm going to get at least all 4 colors. Those type of figures, they're so good because I have some of them. I just don't know what color, like you can make a huge regiment behind them. You know, you can get easily 5 or 6, and then you have a whole squad. So I'm like, all those colors speak to me. I just don't know which one to go. So I think I'm gonna pick up the 4-pack first, and then see from there.
Yeah, there's some really cool new mechs. They like Dark Source.
Yes, a lot
Joy
of cool
Toy
mechs.
stuff. Yeah, really cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a couple of stuff. There's a couple of Joy Toys in my pile of loot that need to get shipped. There's like this new guy where they use in a new body. He's like half android, half human. It's really cool.
Such cool figures, man. That's one of those that like I'm not budgeting for it.
Once we get a mech, like it's crazy good. And the thing is, like, you got me for my birthday that WW2 set. So now it made it even worse because I'm like, do I go like realistic or do I go futuristic? Like, I'm like, I kind of want to get both because those figures are so awesome. Like,
I think you could mix and match that stuff. Yeah. Like you could have some classic looking soldiers that are with a mech. You know, maybe it's like a different type of history where we had more advanced technology. That type of thing. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that was it. That was short and sweet. This starting 2022.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So Nasty Nate's dirty trick for the week.
Here we go.
I've mentioned this guy's name a few times, but I have to just give him credit again. Max Fisher. I've talked about this before, but sometimes I have a hard time fitting a shot on Instagram the way that I captured it in my camera. Mm-hmm. So what I used to do in the past was expand my focus so I'd have more kind of negative space kind of at the top and the bottom because I know Instagram's going to crop it. So if it crops it enough, I want it to capture the image that I'm trying to get. I don't have to do that anymore. So I talked to Max Fisher through the break, and he's like, dude, you got to try InShot. So there's an app called InShot, InShot, and it actually adds borders to your shots so that it fits Instagram. So I actually don't have to worry about the framing or changing the focus or any of that stuff. I take the photo, I put it in InShot, it adds the borders for me. I then take that back to Instagram and it fits it perfectly. It shows everything that I wanted to show in the original image, which has really kind of helped me out in my photography because I hate going out too far because then you get other stuff in the scene that you didn't want to see. Yeah. You got to cut it off some other weird way. If you guys aren't using InShot, it's a free app on Android. I think it's on Apple too. I have an Android, so I'm not really sure on Apple, but I think it's free there too. Download that, put your photos through that. It really helps so that you're not cutting off stuff that you don't want to cut off in your images. So that's my dirty trick to start out 2022. Get InShot. It's really helped me out a lot. I've been using it a ton for the last couple of months. It's been great.
Oh yeah, it is available on Apple. I just downloaded it.
Nice. It's awesome for stuff like that. So you don't have to worry about the borders. It adds extra space on the side. So yeah, you're going to have a thicker border, but it makes it so that your entire shot fits in the frame on Instagram.
Cool.
It's great.
Very nice.
Last but certainly not least.
Figure Aficionado.
Figure Aficionado. Drum roll. I want to give a shout out to a guy that's been recognizing people in the community. He did this really awesome Christmas photo contest with Unparalleled Universe. He's part of the Wade, W-A-D-E crew from Unparalleled Universe. You guys probably know who this guy is. His name's Rick. Art with Wit Toys, ARTWITTOYZ.
Yep.
Let me share his account.
That dude is phenomenal. Such a great dude. Super down to earth. Like, and then 2, he kills it. His freaking photos are just like amazing.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
A super talented guy. He just hit the 5K mark. I know he's really trying to work for that by the end of the year. I think he might have hit that right at the last day of the year. So that's really cool. Nice. A lot of people were trying to promote him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he went on this tangent of just Christmas photos, which really got me inspired. I posted probably about 4 or 5 Christmas shots throughout the last couple of weeks of the year. And to Prime's point, he just kills it. He's really good photographer. You see him just going across different genres. He doesn't just stick to Marvel or DC. He's got G.I. Joe stuff. He's got horror stuff. He's got Spawn. I mean, he just goes all over the place.
Yeah, and everything, the composition, the attention to detail, like it's mind blowing. Where you really have to sit there and look at the picture a couple of times, because then you notice something different each time. You're like, oh, I didn't see this time. Oh, the lighting, like this one, like the lighting from the behind. You got
dope.
It gives you a feeling, or like you're in there. You're like, it's awesome.
Right. It really brings you into that photo. I think this is the Meow Skulls.
Yeah, look at that.
Set.
Like, he just finished a rep, and he's like, yeah, he's got the Gatorade container. They're like, yeah, he just finished a set. You know how that feels. Like, if you've ever been in the gym, you've done a good set, you're like, yeah, I freaking killed it. Like, that's what that says to me.
Got some Batman McFarlane going on here. I love this attention to detail. You got the Dio, and you got the car, and you got the dial back here. You got Robin. Yeah, he's just a really great photographer. I love his work. And not only is he a great photographer, he's just an awesome dude. Did a huge giveaway with Wade and the rest of the crew. And just very, very kind guy. I've talked to him a few times in the DMs and super talented. So go check him out if you haven't checked him out already. A lot of the people listening probably know who this guy is. So I'm just repeating to the choir here. But I think he's great. I love his work, and I think he deserves a bigger following for sure.
For sure. Yeah. Rick.
So go check out Art with Toys.
Yep.
Awesome.
Hey, what a great way to start the year with a Figure Aficionado like that. Like, we're just gonna have to ante up the nominees. So if you guys have somebody that you want us to recognize as Figure Aficionado, like, tag us, send us a DM at the Figure Booth page on IG. Make sure you let us know, hey, this is who I think should be a great nominee for Figure Aficionado. We'll take a look, and we'll make sure we give them the proper spotlight.
Yeah, for sure. If you feel like we're not giving somebody proper attention, just let us know. Like Prime said, we're open to the DMs. We'd really appreciate if you guys nominate. If we could have community nominated Figure Aficionado, that would be amazing, because that way we know that you guys are part of the discussion.
Yeah. So that brings us to another end and conclusion of our first episode for 2022. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Make sure you comment. Tell us your budget. How did it go? Give us the thumbs up. Make sure you like, subscribe to us. Shoot us a DM. Let us know your thoughts. What do you want to see more of from us on 2022 in this new year? As always, I've been your host, Josh, aka Prime to the First. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and IG, all under Prime to the First.
And I've been Nate, aka FigureFan_Nate. You can follow me on IG and TikTok, all under FigureFan_Nate. Like Prime said, comment below. Let us know your thoughts on those resolutions. And if you haven't already, please go check out thefigurebooth.com. Go get one of these 2 cool shirts that me and Prime are representing today. Yep. One of our resolutions is to keep adding merch to that store. So you guys will see that expand in 2022.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked it out already, please go check that out.
Yes. Can't wait.
All right, guys. Have a good 2022, everybody.
Let's
Look
go.
forward to doing more. See you later.